Hey guys, I'm currently in Antigua, Guatemala, and I'm gonna take you around this gorgeous colonial town and show you all the best things to do. Let's jump right into it. Alrighty, so this morning I am hiking Cerro de la Cruz. It's just a viewpoint right here in town. You get an incredible view of Antigua and then also of Volcano Agua. And it's a great trail just to get out into nature. So we're gonna go hike it and show you the views from the top. You can't even really call that a hike. It's just some stairs. At the very beginning, it's a little bit difficult. It's very, very doable. Also, a lot of people say it's really unsafe and it's dangerous. A lot say it's that way at night, which I'm sure you're in a dark forested area, but some even said during the day it's not safe, and I definitely disagree with that. I felt totally safe. There's plenty of people out exercising, and there's just plenty of people around. So there's a couple ways you can get here. You can hike up here from town, or you can drive up here with your own vehicle, Uber, tuk-tuk, or go a part of a group tour. The most important thing to remember when you're here at Cerro de la Cruz is to pack out your trash. Leave no trace behind. You are responsible for your own garbage. Do your part. Keep this planet healthy and happy. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're here during the dry or the rainy season. I am here during the rainy season in May and in June, and so it definitely is cloudy, and so right now I don't have the best view of the volcano, but it still is a great view of town, and it still is a nice hike to get out into nature. So if you're hiking up here, the first area you're gonna come to is just the viewpoint. I recommend you go a little bit further and go up to the Plaza Santiago. It's got a beautiful statue and it's really nice and quiet. There's also a bunch of soldiers up here, and they actually came up and asked me, they're like, does this make you feel safe? How do you feel? And I was like, yeah, I think it's great that you guys are here. And they just really wanted me to let you guys know that they're doing their part to keep Antigua Guatemala safe and that they're here for you. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to go up and talk to them. And so when you get to the top up here, there are gonna be people selling jewelry, souvenirs, and then also some food and some drinks. An absolute must is hiking Acatenango volcano. If you haven't watched that video yet, go check it out right here. One of my favorite parts about Antigua is just walking around the gorgeous streets and then just seeing a volcano and then also just seeing a ruin right next to you. It's such a unique colonial town. So I always recommend doing one of these walking tours when you first get to a city, because they're going to tell you about some of the best restaurants, the things to do, any safety, all the tips you need. And it's always better to know about it at the beginning versus then at the end of your trip. So the main cathedral here, Cathedral San Jose, is going to be the oldest standing building in all of Antigua. It's so impressive. You can walk through it, and then you can also see the ruins. It only costs about 20 quetzales. Check them out. And so Antigua actually used to be called Santiago, but then once the earthquake happened in 1773, they moved the main city to Guatemala City. And then a handful of years later, then the Mayans came back and they started making it a city, and they called it Antigua, like the old Guatemala. I definitely recommend you check out the chocolate factory here. You can make your own chocolate bars. You can kind of see how chocolate is made. I'm not going to do it though because I did it over in Granada, Nicaragua. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out right here. Definitely one of my favorite things in Antigua is all of the incredible restaurants and cafes, but also how, like, for instance, I'm in a Starbucks and it looks so beautiful, and they kind of keep the colonial feel to it, and it's like center courtyards. They still are gorgeous buildings. So definitely a main touristy street is going to be Avenue 5, Avenue 5. And here you're gonna find a bunch of vendors selling different things, a lot of different restaurants and shops. My favorite though is all the artists sitting out on the street painting gorgeous paintings for you to then purchase and take home. So next up we're checking out the Merced Church, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. The detail that is on the front of this church is beautiful, and the colors are white and yellow, and that actually represents life. Some of the incredible artwork that's on the front of this church is going to be a hummingbird and then also grapes. So the hummingbird also represents life in the Mayan culture. Also, the grapes represent the blood of Jesus Christ, and so every little detail is taken into consideration in the churches here in Antigua. Definitely got to come check out the National Museum of Art of Guatemala when you're here in Antigua. It's completely free, and it has so much different art from all throughout the different times of Guatemala. I'm not saying any of this right, but it's like pre-Hispanic time and then like Republic time. What I do love most about it though, I think, is that the building it's in. So it's in the old Royal Palace of Generals, and they refurbished it and restored the building, and so you can see the old ruins, you can see the old courtyards, but then each room is now an exhibit instead of being a room. So the Central Park here in Antigua, Guatemala is definitely going to be a great place. Come hang out. There's always locals here hanging out on the benches. gorgeous water fountain behind me, but it's a perfect central spot. Go and see all of the other super popular, well-known spots that you're gonna wanna check out when you're here in Antigua. Antigua is littered with old ruins, and we are now in the Convento Capuchinas, and wow. All right, the next ruins are the Ruins de Cathedral, and wow, they're impressive. Let's go check them out. I'm down in the crypts now. It smells so bad down in here, and it's very creepy, but thankfully they have a ton of lights because I would not like this if it wasn't lit up. Fun fact about me is I'm a total history nerd, and so just like getting to walk through these ruins and just see how massive they are and know that they've been here for hundreds of years, I think is really, really cool. Wandering around these ruins makes me feel like so minuscule, which I always think that's like, it's a nice reality check every once in a while. A very popular activity in Antigua is coming up to Hobbitenango. It is basically a replica of what the Shire from Lord of the Rings looked like. There's only 2 places in the entire world that kind of looks like the Shire, or like with where the Hobbits lived. New Zealand, which is where the movie was actually filmed, and then here, right outside of Antigua, Guatemala. There's a couple ways you can get here. You can drive yourself up here. You can get an Uber. You can go with like a group tour, like a 4-wheeling tour or something. You can take a taxi, tuk-tuk, but I highly recommend you go to the Hobbitenango office in Antigua, and you can buy round trip shuttle transportation from them. It's gonna be the cheapest option. You are in the back of a truck bed and it's not the most comfortable, but it's way, way cheaper than any other option that you're gonna get. So that would be my recommendation. With that, you can also purchase your entrance ticket into Hobbitenango. So the shuttle round trip is 45 quetzales, and then entrance into Hobbitenango is 50 quetzales. Ubers, driving yourself, any of those options, you won't be able to come all the way up to Hobbitenango. You will go to a parking lot, and then from there, a different shuttle will pick you up and bring you up here because the road is too steep and too rough. Okay, first impressions, this place is so adorable. That's like the only way to describe it. It's just so cute. I am loving it here. So I'm not really a Lord of the Rings fan. Like, obviously I've seen them, but like not really my thing. So I was kind of like, oh, do I really want to come here? But I know it's one of the like top things to do. And so I really wanted to show you it, and I am so glad that I did. Sometimes I'm really thankful that I have the YouTube channel because it does force me to go see and do things that normally I wouldn't want to do. And almost every time I'm always so glad that I do it. This place has so many different trails and different activities that you can do, from like mini golf to archery, souvenir vendor shopping to a ton of different photo op areas. And my favorite though is I just saw a sign that said beer. So we're following this trail up into the jungle. It looks like there's like a little shack back there, and if that's where I get to go have some beer, I'm doing that. But yeah, this place, like, I can't wipe the smile off my face. It's really cute here and just really fun. They also do have rooms that you can stay the night here, and I think that would be incredible. It's definitely a great place to bring your kids, bring the whole family. One thing to note though is that you are up in the mountains, and it is a lot of walking. Holy shit, look at what I almost just stepped on. Oh my god. This thing, it's gotta be poisonous, right? I'm so glad I came up here. I've been pleasantly surprised this entire time. The music, I hope you can hear it in the background, but the music is so incredible. The views are breathtaking. And I'm here in rainy season, and I got so lucky today that there's no clouds. So you can see all 3 volcanoes. You can see Volcano Agua, which is the main one you see from town in Antigua, and then you can also see Acatenango and Fuego, which if you haven't yet, make sure you go watch that hike I did, because wow. The volcanoes aside, the views even just of like the surrounding mountains around Antigua are so gorgeous. When I first got here, I was like, oh my god, this place is massive. Like, it goes on for forever. But then kind of once you walk around, you realize like, oh, okay, it's not like too big. But there is supposed to be like miniature golf and an archery set somewhere, and I could never find them. I always saw the signs for them, and I'm starving, and I really want to go eat at the restaurant and have a beer up here with this view. So we're choosing food and beer over games. Those sliders and french fries and the homemade mayonnaise was so good. Got my to-go box. We're gonna head back down to Antigua now. Highly recommend you come to Hobbitenango when you are in Antigua. It's So amazing. Okay, so that is a wrap on Antigua. I absolutely love this small colonial town, from the history to the nature to the people and to like the restaurant scene. This town is definitely a place that you have to add to your bucket list, especially you have to add to your Central America adventures. And I know you'll have a great time here. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week.